It was June 27, 2017. For most in Ukraine, it was just another springtime day. People got up, dropped their kids off at school, and went to work, looking forward to celebrating Constitution Day tomorrow. Suddenly, all around Ukraine, computers began restarting. The usual operating systems were gone, wiped clean. Instead, a message appeared on the screen. Oops, your important files are encrypted, demanding $300 of Bitcoin to decrypt them. Some tried paying the ransom. Nothing happened. It became clear that no amount of money would restore these systems. The country's most critical databases had been wiped clean. Nobody was ready for the crippling devastation unleashed on Ukraine on that fateful day. 7:42 a.m., Chernobyl. Serhiy Honcharov was the site's IT director. A couple of hours into the workday, he received reports of a few computer screens going blank. One by one, in rapid succession, every single connected PC in the building blinked and restarted with an error message or ransom demand. And it seemed that the plant's work, their documents, and the entirety of their critical radiation monitoring systems had been utterly erased. The unknown virus spread through their networks, infecting and instantly destroying everything it encountered. After only 7 minutes, Honcharov and his team had no choice but to issue an emergency order through site-wide loudspeakers. Every single member of staff at the site of the Chernobyl disaster was to immediately unplug and disconnect all devices, or they risked losing everything. There was nothing else they could do. The systems dealing with the uranium were safe, isolated from the rest of the network, and disconnecting the devices had prevented the virus from destroying everything. But Chernobyl itself was now entirely cut off from the rest of the world, unable to inform outsiders of its dire circumstances or even issue radiation warnings. Across Ukraine, countless organizations were hit with the same terrifying ordeal. Railway ticketing was wiped out, and flight schedule screens at Boryspil Airport went blank, bringing the country to a standstill. The post office, not only responsible for mail delivery but also pension payments, lost over 70% of their computers before unplugging, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without their monthly income and millions without letters and bills. Banks like Ощадbank, Ukraine's second largest, saw 90% of their computers get hit, freezing accounts and preventing anyone from accessing their money. Almost all government ministries had taken the drastic step of taking their networks offline, interrupting and choking critical services such as hospitals and emergency responders. As Volodymyr Omelyan, the Ukrainian Minister of Infrastructure, ominously said, the government was dead. The cyberattack left many dismayed. Like Pavlo Bondarenko, an IT administrator for the health ministry, his life was turned upside down in an instant. The card readers at the subway had been taken down, so he went to withdraw cash, only to find that the ATMs were also dead. It took him 4 attempts to find a working one. After getting a metro ride home, he bought enough basic supplies to last a few days. The shop would only accept cash. Life went very fast from, what's new on Facebook, to, do I have enough money to buy food for tomorrow? The virus tore through Ukraine's digital infrastructure, leaving nothing in its wake. Everything it had touched was wiped clean. As dazed Ukrainians like Bondarenko went to bed that night, only one question was on their mind. How could this have happened? Oleg Yasinski, a cybersecurity consultant working for ISSP in Kyiv, first encountered the attack when he was called urgently into Ощадbank. From there, he took copies of the virus back to ISSP headquarters and ran them over virtual machines. This allowed him to analyze how it worked while keeping his own systems safe. He'd seen cyberattacks targeting Ukraine's domains many times before, and it didn't take long for him to realize something. This attack was similar to a ransomware worm he'd investigated just a month earlier, called WannaCry. It used weaknesses in older Windows systems to move freely between Windows computers connected to the same network, outmaneuvering network defenses to encrypt someone's files. The hackers demanded a Bitcoin payment in exchange for decryption. Across the world, a Russian firm discovered clear similarities between the virus and an infamous ransomware attack known as Petya. Petya, first seen 15 months earlier, made use of WannaCry to infiltrate and encrypt a user's PC until they paid a ransom. It was incredibly infectious, spreading effortlessly between connected devices in minutes and demanding a ransom to decrypt the files. But the similarities ended there. This time, paying the ransom didn't decrypt the files. Instead, everything on a computer was destroyed, hence the name NotPetya. It had been adapted and apparently explicitly designed to function as a weapon. Whoever made it wasn't after money. They wanted to inflict maximum devastation as quickly as possible. And all because of a few lines of code. At his desk in ESET, analyst Anton Cherepenov was poring over his copy of the virus. He noticed a file responsible for so much carnage. It was labeled easyvit.exe and would trigger the killer blow. He'd seen this easyvit file before, around the time of the WannaCry attacks, and Cherepenov knew where it would lead. Linkos Group. This accounting firm had developed and released MEDoc, the favorite accounting software for any company operating in or out of Ukraine. Hackers had managed to embed a subtle virus installer in a software update of MEDoc itself, planting the destruction at the core of Ukrainian society and ensuring NotPetya would spread like wildfire. He knew that any organization with MEDoc installed would have had no idea that their application for bookkeeping and tax filing was the source of the attack. It wasn't the first cyber attack Ukraine had suffered. Over the previous years, their power grid had regularly been attacked, leaving citizens around the country without heat and power in the dead of winter for hours or even days at a time. Oleg Yasinski had been there in the thick of things. He had a working theory, one shared with other cybersecurity specialists around the world. Ukraine has always been at the center of an international tug-of-war. Vladimir Putin views Ukraine as having been part of Russian territory. But Ukraine, NATO, and pro-Western countries view Ukraine as their own. As tensions between Russia and the West ramped up, it was Ukraine that would suffer the most direct and immediate consequences. Hence, Yasinski, like many others, suspected that NotPetya was organized and conducted by the Russian state itself. If true, that would make NotPetya a cyber weapon, or as Yasinski would term it, a massive coordinated cyber invasion, the first the world had ever seen. But although most of the damage was confined to Ukraine, the spread of a cyber attack cannot be controlled. By the afternoon of June 27th, infections had begun spreading abroad. The world's largest shipping company, Maersk, was hit hardest. In one of its Ukrainian offices in Odessa, a sole computer had MEDoc installed. From this one PC, NotPetya spread through Maersk like wildfire, wiping out every single one of its interconnected worldwide systems in minutes. The entire computerized network was wiped clean. Over the 10 days Maersk was out of action, it lost 45,000 PCs and 4,000 servers across 600 sites in 130 countries. Many of the world's ports ground to a halt, forcing dock workers to revert to paper copies and manually checking containers one by one. At the same time, IT staff frantically searched for any backup that wasn't destroyed by the attack. Only after calling up countless data centers around the world did an administrator finally find that one server in Ghana had been offline. By sheer luck, there was a blackout right at the time of the attack, which meant that this backup, and this backup alone, had survived the devastating attack. Staffers carefully transported it by hand across the world to London, where Maersk clawed itself back online, painstakingly restoring every single server, PC, and application one by one. Maersk was just one company. It alone would estimate its damages to be at least $300 million. Thousands more were hit. The vast majority were based or had business in Ukraine. Analysts put the estimated worldwide economic damage at $10 billion, and possibly more. And while life would return to relative normality for most of Ukraine's citizens, it was turned upside down for a few, like those whose hospital scans and medical data were lost. A week after NotPetya was unleashed, armed Ukrainian police smashed Linkos Group's door down and seized the servers. They quickly realized that the employees knew nothing. They were victims just as much as the rest of Ukraine. It wouldn't be until February 2018, 8 months after the attack, that the Five Eyes nations would each directly accuse Russia of developing and launching the attack. A month later, the US introduced meager sanctions on 19 people and 5 organizations. They were, so far as we know, related to the attack. NotPetya was the worst digital invasion the world has ever seen, but it was just the beginning. 5 years later, a wave of cyber attacks once again targeted Ukraine's government, military, and civilian infrastructure. infiltrating crucial systems and wiping all infected PCs clean in a series of coordinated preemptive strikes. Days later, the tanks rolled in, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine had started. These cyber attacks continue through today and are only set to increase in severity. The next war may not be fought with tanks, missiles, and soldiers. It's more terrifying. What if a tiny file hidden away in endless lines of code could switch off the heating in winter, shut down the water purification plants, halt the food production lines? Or what if malware was used not to destroy infrastructure, but to swipe almost $1 billion from under authorities' noses? The most dangerous bank robbers no longer carry guns or wear masks. Bangladesh Bank would learn this the hard way.